Welcome back to Tina Romance Library, where powerful alphas fall hard, and the women they underestimate change everything. Every story here is complete, immersive, and emotion-driven. No cliffhangers, no rushed endings, just full romances you can sink into. So if you love possessive alphas, strong heroines who don't beg, slow burn tension, emotional payoffs, and stories that actually finish, you're in the right place. I need you to join the pack right now by subscribing. Leave a like if you enjoy immersive romance, and settle in because once the story begins, we don't stop until the ending. Now, let's get into it. They said omegas were weak. They said we broke easily like glass, like ice, like promises whispered in the dark. They said our bones were hollow, our hearts too soft, our hands made for holding, not for fighting. They were wrong. I'm standing in the snow, and I can't stop shaking. Not from the cold, though the wind is biting through my torn cloak like teeth through skin. Not from fear, either, though fear is there, coiled in my stomach like a living thing. No, I'm shaking from adrenaline, from the shock of what I've done, from the impossible reality settling around me like the silence after thunder. There are bodies in the snow. Not dead, thank the gods. Not dead, but groaning, bleeding, broken. Warriors. Elite warriors from the king's own guard, sprawling across the white ground like discarded toys. Their weapons lie scattered around them. Swords snapped in half, daggers buried hilt, deep in frozen earth. Shields cracked down the middle. The snow is painted red in streaks and splatters, steam rising where hot blood meets ice. I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't wake up this morning planning to fight. I woke up planning to run, to disappear before they could drag me back to that cage they called a sanctuary, before they could lock me away again with the other omegas and tell me it was for my own protection, before they could strip away what little freedom I'd clawed back for myself. But they found me anyway. And when they tried to take me, when their hands reached for me with that casual cruelty that said I was nothing, that I belonged to them, that my will didn't matter, something inside me snapped. Or maybe it didn't snap. Maybe it woke up. I looked down at my hands. They're covered in blood that isn't mine, trembling with aftershocks of power. I don't understand. Power that shouldn't exist. Power that every law of our kind says is impossible. Omegas don't fight. We don't have the strength, the speed, the killer instinct. We're the soft ones, the protected ones, the ones who need alpha wolves to survive. That's what they've told us since birth. That's what I believed. Until today. My breath comes in ragged clouds, and I can taste copper on my tongue. Did I bite my lip? Or is it from when one of them got close enough to make me desperate? The details are blurring already, the fight playing back in fragments. A fist coming toward my face, my arm moving on pure instinct, the sickening crunch of his nose breaking. The weight of a body slamming into me from behind, and somehow I twisted, threw him, sent him flying into a tree hard enough to crack bark. It wasn't skill. It wasn't training. It was survival. And now there's something else flooding through my veins, something that makes my skin feel too tight and my senses too sharp. I can hear their heartbeats, even from here, slow, pained, but steady. I can smell the fear coming off them in waves, mixing with blood and snow and something else. Something that makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Recognition. They know what I am now. What I shouldn't be. And worse, oh gods, worse, there's something pulling at my chest. A thread I can't see, tugging insistently toward the north, toward the capital, toward something that feels like gravity and fire and inevitability all wrapped into one sensation. I try to ignore it. I need to run. I need to move before more of them come. But my feet won't obey. Because somewhere miles away, maybe, in a throne room I've never seen, I know with bone-deep certainty that he's hearing about this. The Alpha King. The one they whisper about in terrified reverence. The one whose very name makes Omega wolves go quiet and still. I can feel the moment the report reaches him. Don't ask me how, I just can. It's like a shift in the air pressure. A change in the electromagnetic field of the world. The thread in my chest pulls tight, and for one dizzying second, I swear I can feel his reaction. Shock, fury, and underneath it all, threading through like gold through stone, interest. My whole body flushes hot despite the freezing cold, and I hate it. Hate that some primal part of me responds to that distant attention like a flower turning toward the sun. This is the king who would imprison me, the king whose laws say omegas are property, kept and controlled, for our own good. The king I've been running from my entire life, and he's just given the order. I don't know how I know, but I do. Bring her to me, alive. The last word echoes in my head like he spoke it directly into my ear, and the thread in my chest burns. Not fear this time. Heat. I force myself to move, to run, but even as I disappear into the trees, I know the truth settling like lead in my stomach. Running won't save me now, because whatever I am, whatever I've become, he's felt it too. And alpha kings don't let go of things they want. I make it 3 miles before I smell them. Not the same warriors, these are fresh, unmarked by my panic and impossible strength. The scent hits me through the trees like a wall. Alpha musk, leather, steel, and something sharper. Purpose. They're not scouts stumbling onto a runaway omega. They're hunters, and I'm already caught in their sights. I should keep running. My legs are screaming at me to move, to push harder, to find somewhere, anywhere to hide. But there's nowhere left to go. The forest is thinning out ahead, and behind me, I can hear them moving through the snow with the kind of coordinated silence that speaks of decades of training. These aren't ordinary guards. These are the ones they send when failure isn't an option. I stop in a small clearing, my breath forming clouds in the pre-dawn light. My body is still humming with that foreign energy, that wrongness that saved my life hours ago. But I'm tired now, so tired. And that pull in my chest, that thread hasn't loosened for a second. If anything, it's gotten stronger, more insistent, like invisible hands dragging me north whether I want to go or not. They emerge from the tree line in formation. 6 of them, all massive, all moving with the predatory grace of born warriors. Their armor is dark metal etched with the king's seal, a wolf's head crowned in silver. Each one carries weapons that have tasted blood, and their eyes track me with the kind of wariness you'd give a wounded animal. Something dangerous, something unpredictable, something that's already proven it can hurt them. The leader steps forward. He's older than the others, with scars crossing his jaw and threading through the gray at his temples. His hand rests on his sword hilt, but he doesn't draw. Not yet. Omega, he says, and there's no disrespect in his voice. Just careful neutrality. You're to come with us. The king has requested your presence. Requested. As if I have a choice. I laugh, and it comes out sharp and slightly unhinged. Requested? That's a polite way of saying he's sending 6 of his best to drag me back in chains. Something flickers across the leader's face. Not anger, respect? We were told to bring you unharmed. We'd prefer to do that without conflict. Would you? I tilt my head, studying them. They're positioned in a loose circle, giving themselves room to move but staying out of immediate striking range. They're not underestimating me, not after what happened to their brothers. Because your friends this morning had a different approach. They seemed to think unharmed was negotiable. One of the younger warriors shifts his weight, and I catch the slight limp in his stance. My eyes narrow. You were there. He goes rigid, jaw tightening. The leader shoots him a warning glance before turning back to me. The king will want to hear your side of what happened, but we need you to come with us. Now. And if I refuse, the silence that follows is heavy enough to crush bones. We all know how this ends. I could fight, part of me wants to, that new wild thing inside me screaming at the thought of submission. But I'm outnumbered, exhausted, and whatever power I tapped into before feels distant now, like trying to remember a dream after waking. And underneath it all, that pull, that gravity dragging me toward him, I want to understand it. I want to understand what I am, what's happening to me. And much as I hate to admit it, the only person who might have answers is the one person I've spent my life avoiding. The Alpha King. I straighten my spine and meet the leader's eyes. I won't kneel. His expression doesn't change, but I see the slight relaxation in his shoulders. Relief. We're not asking you to. And I walk on my own. No one touches me. He considers this, then nods slowly. Agreed. The younger warrior, the one who's limping, makes a sound of protest. Sir, she's dangerous. Protocol demands. Protocol, I interrupt, turning my attention to him. Clearly didn't work out well for you earlier. Maybe you'd like to try again? You're already limping. I'd hate to make it worse. His face flushes with anger and humiliation, hand moving toward his weapon. The leader's voice cracks like a whip. Stand down. The young warrior freezes, then reluctantly steps back. But his eyes promise violence, and I file that away for later. If things go badly when they go badly, he'll be the first to move. The restraints, one of the others says quietly, holding up a set of silver shackles. They gleam in the weak morning light, etched with runes I recognize. Anti-Omega restraints, designed to suppress our wolves, to keep us docile and manageable. Looking at them makes my stomach turn. The leader's expression is apologetic almost. It's required, for transport. I want to refuse. I want to burn them where they stand and disappear into the wilderness. But I force myself to nod, to extend my wrists like I'm accepting defeat. The metal closes around my skin with a soft click, and immediately I feel it, the burn, the electric sting of magic meant to cage me. But something's wrong. The runes flare bright, then sputter. The burning intensifies for a moment, making me grit my teeth, but then, nothing. The shackles sit on my wrists like ordinary metal. Heavy, cold, but not suppressing anything. I can still feel my wolf, still feel that humming energy beneath my skin. The restraints aren't working. I keep my face carefully neutral, letting my shoulders slump like I've been subdued. Let them think their magic is doing its job. Let them think I'm contained. Because the moment they realize I'm not the moment they understand I could break free whenever I want, this careful peace will shatter. The leader gestures and 2 warriors move to flank me. Not touching, keeping their promise, but close enough to react if I bolt. We start moving north, and with each step, that thread in my chest hums with satisfaction. I'm going toward him, toward the Alpha King, and I can't tell if the flutter in my stomach is terror or something infinitely more dangerous. Why does he want me alive? I ask after we've been walking for an hour. The question has been eating at me since I felt his command echo through that invisible connection. The leader doesn't answer immediately. When he does, his voice is measured. The king's business is his own. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. He glances at me sideways. But if I were to guess, what you did, what you are, that doesn't happen. Omegas don't fight, don't have strength, don't break trained warriors like they're made of paper. I finish bitterly. I know what we're not supposed to do. I lived my whole life being told what I couldn't be. And yet you are. There's something in his tone now, not quite admiration, but close. The king will want to understand why. Why? As if I'm a puzzle to be solved. A mystery to unravel. Not a person with my own will, my own fears, my own desperate need for freedom, but beneath my anger, there's a question I can't shake. What will he do when he sees me, when we're in the same room, breathing the same air, and this connection between us, because it is a connection, I'm not delusional enough to deny it finally has a face? Will he feel it too? And God's help me. Why does part of me want him to? The young warrior who's been glaring at me the entire journey moves closer, emboldened by my shackles. You should be afraid, he mutters, just loud enough for me to hear. The king doesn't tolerate threats. Whatever you are, he'll break you. I meet his eyes, and I let him see something wild there, something that makes him falter mid-step. Your friends thought the same thing, I say softly. They were wrong. He pales, falling back into formation. But his words echo in my mind as we walk. He'll break you. Maybe he will. Maybe I'll break first, shatter under the weight of whatever's happening to me. Maybe this power will consume me, or the king will lock me away, or I'll disappear into the same system that's caged Omega wolves for generations. Or maybe, just maybe, he'll take one look at me and realize the same thing I'm beginning to understand. I'm not an Omega who learned to fight. I'm something else entirely. And whatever that is, it's about to change everything. The city rises from the snow-covered landscape like a crown of stone and steel. I've never seen it before, never been allowed this close, but even from a distance, it radiates power. The walls are massive, built from dark granite that seems to absorb light rather than reflect it. Towers pierce the gray sky, and everywhere I look there are wolves, alphas, betas, moving through the streets with purpose. No Omegas visible. They're all tucked away somewhere, hidden, protected, controlled. My jaw clenches. We pass through the gates without stopping. Guards take one look at our escort and step aside, but I feel their eyes on me. Word has spread. Of course it has. In a world where Omegas are supposed to be fragile, breakable things, I've become an impossibility that everyone wants to witness. The castle sits at the heart of the city, all sharp angles and imposing architecture. It's built for war, not comfort a fortress that happens to house a king. As we climb the steps to the main entrance, that thread in my chest pulls so tight it's almost painful. He's close. The leader dismisses most of the escort, keeping only 2 warriors with us as we move through corridors of polished stone. My heart is beating too fast, but I keep my breathing steady. I won't let them see me panic, won't give them the satisfaction. We stop before a set of enormous doors carved with scenes of wolves in battle. The leader turns to me, and for the first time I see something like sympathy in his expression. "Whatever happens in there," he says quietly, "remember that you're alive because he wants you to be. That counts for something." I want to ask what he means, but the doors are already opening. The throne room steals the breath from my lungs. It's vast, with vaulted ceilings that disappear into shadow and windows of frosted glass that let in pale morning light. The floor is black marble, polished to a mirror shine, and at the far end, elevated on a dais of 3 broad steps, sits a throne carved from a single piece of dark stone. And on that throne, oh gods, the Alpha King is massive. Even seated, I can tell he'd tower over me, over anyone. His shoulders are broad enough to block out the light, his body built from violence and survival. He's wearing black, simple and unadorned, but he doesn't need decoration. Power radiates from him like heat from a forge. His face is all hard angles and sharp planes, with a jaw that looks like it's been carved from the same stone as his throne. A scar cuts through his left eyebrow and continues down his cheek, a wound that should have killed him but didn't. His hair is dark, pushed back carelessly, and his hands rest on the arms of his throne with the kind of relaxed readiness that speaks of absolute confidence. He could kill me without standing up, but it's his eyes that pin me in place. Gray, like winter storms, like steel, like nothing I've ever seen before. And they're locked onto mine with an intensity that makes every nerve in my body light up. The thread between us sings. Heat floods my chest, my stomach, racing down my spine like liquid fire. My wolf, who's been quiet for so long, suppressed and hidden, suddenly stirs. Really stirs, for the first time in my life. She pushes against my skin, drawn to him in a way that terrifies me. No, this can't be happening, but I can smell him from here. Pine and smoke and something darker, something that speaks of dominance and barely leashed restraint. It wraps around me like a physical touch, and I have to fight the urge to step closer, or run. I'm not sure which. The silence stretches. No one speaks. The 2 warriors who accompanied me have fallen back, and even they seem affected by the weight of his attention. It's just him and me, separated by 50 feet of polished marble and an ocean of things neither of us will say. He studies me. Not the way the warriors did, not with wariness or fear. This is different. He's looking at me like I'm a puzzle he's trying to solve, like I'm something unexpected that's disrupted his carefully ordered world. Like I'm a temptation he's deciding whether to indulge. His gaze travels slowly, deliberately. Down to the shackles on my wrists, his expression tightens almost imperceptibly when he sees them. Back up to my face, my eyes, then lower, to my throat. My pulse jumps, visible in the hollow of my neck. His eyes darken. I should look away. Every instinct that's kept me alive says to submit, to lower my gaze, to show deference to the most powerful alpha in our world. But I don't. I hold his stare, refusing to be the first to break, even as my heart hammers against my ribs hard enough to bruise. Something shifts in his expression. Not anger, something more complex. Interest, yes, but underneath it, something almost like surprise. When he finally speaks, his voice is exactly what I expected and nothing like I imagined. Deep, controlled, with an edge that suggests violence is always an option, but rarely necessary. Leave us. The warriors don't argue. They bow and retreat, the massive doors closing behind them with a sound like thunder. And then it's just the two of us in this cavernous room, with nothing between us but air and tension and that invisible thread pulling tighter with every breath. He rises from his throne. I force myself not to step back as he descends the dais, moving with a predator's grace. He's even larger standing, and when he stops about 10 feet away, close enough to be threatening, far enough to give me space, I have to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. You killed 6 of my warriors. His voice is conversational, almost casual, but there's steel underneath. I defended myself. I correct. They're alive. Barely. He tilts his head slightly, studying me. How? I don't know. Don't lead to me. I'm not. The words come out sharper than I intend, but I'm done being interrogated. You think I understand what happened? You think I have answers? I don't. 1 minute I was running, the next they were on me, and something inside me just... I cut myself off, because how do I explain the unexplainable? He takes a step closer. Just one, but it feels like the walls are pressing in. Omegas don't fight. They don't have the strength or the instinct. Then maybe I'm not really an Omega. The words hang between us, dangerous and honest. His eyes flash with what I can't tell. Anger? Intrigue? You smell like one, he says, and there's something in his tone that makes my skin flush hot. Wildflowers and honey, unmistakable. The fact that he's identified my scent so specifically makes something in my stomach twist. Scent can lie. Not like that. He moves again, circling slowly, and I turn with him, refusing to give him my back. Everything about you, says Omega. Your build, your scent, the way my warriors' wolves reacted to you. Everything except I won't break. He stops, facing me again, and I see it now. That sharpness in his eyes, that shift from curiosity to something more focused. Respect. No, he agrees quietly. You won't. The admission does something to me. Loosens something in my chest that's been clenched tight since this morning. But I can't let my guard down. Not with him. So what happens now? I ask, lifting my shackled wrists. You've brought me here. Your warriors are terrified of what I am. And you... I pause, because I can feel him through that connection, feel the war happening beneath his controlled exterior. You don't know what to do with me. I know exactly what to do with you. My breath catches. The words could be a threat. Should be a threat. But the way he says them, the way his eyes drop again to my throat before meeting mine, then why am I still alive? The question I've been holding back finally breaks free. Because it doesn't make sense. An Omega who can fight, who can hurt his warriors, who represents a threat to everything they believe about our kind. I should be dead, should have been executed the moment they found me. Instead, he ordered me brought here, unharmed. Why? He doesn't answer immediately. The silence stretches again, but it's different this time. Charged. He takes one more step forward, close enough now that I can feel the heat radiating from him. Close enough that his scent overwhelms everything else. Why didn't you run? He asks instead. When you had the chance. When you felt them coming for you. Why did you stop? The question catches me off guard. Because he's right, I did stop. I could have kept running, could have tried to disappear into the wilderness. Instead, I stood in that clearing and waited. I could lie, should lie, but something about the way he's looking at me, the way that thread between us hums with truth and recognition, makes deception impossible, because I was done being hunted. The words come out strong, certain. My chin lifts, and I let him see the steel in my spine. I spent my whole life running, hiding, being told I was weak, that I needed protection, that my only value was in submission. And when I finally found proof that everything they told me was a lie, when I discovered I could fight back, I take a breath, holding his gaze. I decided I'd rather face you than spend another day running from shadows. Something shifts in his expression, something fundamental. The careful control cracks just enough for me to glimpse what's underneath, and what I see there makes my pulse spike. Hunger, not the kind that wants to consume, the kind that wants to possess. Brave, he murmurs, and the word sounds like a caress. Or foolish, maybe both. His mouth curves not quite a smile, but close. And for one heartbeat, I see past the Alpha King, past the warrior and ruler, to the man underneath, the one who's just as caught in this impossible pull as I am. Then the moment shatters. He steps back, and the distance feels like a physical loss. You'll stay here, in the castle, until I understand what you are and what threat you pose. I'm not a threat. You put 6 trained warriors in the infirmary. You are, by definition, a threat. But there's no heat in the words, just facts. You'll have quarters, freedom within the castle grounds, but you won't leave. It's not a question, not a request, a cage by any other name. But as I stare at him, at this impossible man who makes my wolf sing and my instincts war between fight and flight and something I don't have words for, I realize something. I don't want to leave. Not yet. Not until I understand what this is between us. What I am. What we could be. Even if it destroys me. Fine, I say, lifting my chin. I'll stay. His eyes flash with something that might be satisfaction. Or triumph. Good, he turns, dismissing me with the gesture. Someone will show you to your rooms. But before the doors can open, before guards can come and escort me away, I speak again. I didn't catch your name. He pauses, glances back over his shoulder. And for the first time since I entered this room, he almost smiles. Kale. Then he's gone, disappearing through a side door, and I'm left standing in his throne room with my heart racing and that thread in my chest burning like a brand. Kale. The Alpha King has a name, and somehow, that makes everything infinitely more dangerous. They don't take me to a cell. I'm expecting dungeons, cold stone, iron bars, the kind of place where problematic omegas disappear. Instead, I'm led through corridors of increasing opulence until we reach a suite of rooms that overlooks the city. There's a bedroom with a bed large enough for 3 people, a sitting area with a fireplace already crackling, and windows that aren't barred. The guard who brought me here, a different one, younger, less scarred, gestures around awkwardly. You're to remain here until the king sends for you. Food will be brought. If you need anything, I need these off. I lift my wrists, the shackles catching the firelight. He shifts uncomfortably. I don't have authorization to. Then get someone who does. He flees, practically tripping over himself in his haste to escape. I almost feel bad for him. Almost. The moment I'm alone, I test the shackles again. They're still not working, still not suppressing anything. I could break them now, snap the metal like it's made of clay. But that would show my hand too early. Better to let them think I'm contained while I figure out what game we're playing here. I move to the windows. The view is breathtaking, the city spreading out below, the forest beyond, mountains in the distance touched with snow. It's beautiful in a harsh, unforgiving way. Like everything else in this place. Like him. I press my palm against the cold glass, trying to steady my breathing. My wolf is still restless, pacing beneath my skin. She's never been this active before, never pushed this hard for recognition, and it's all because of him. Kyle. Even thinking his name makes that thread pull tight. I'm so lost in thought I don't hear the door open, Don't sense him until his scent fills the room, pine and smoke and dominance, and every hair on my body stands on end. I spin around. He's leaning against the doorframe, watching me with those storm-gray eyes. He's changed since the throne room, traded his formal clothes for something simpler. Dark pants, a shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms corded with muscle and marked with scars. He looks more dangerous like this, more real. You should knock, I say, hating how breathless I sound. It's my castle. He pushes off the frame and enters, closing the door behind him with a soft click that sounds impossibly loud. My rooms, my doors. Your prisoner? Guest. He corrects, but we both know it's a lie, though one who seems remarkably comfortable for someone who was fighting for her life this morning. I cross my arms, defensive. Would you prefer I cower in the corner? No. He moves into the room, and suddenly the space feels too small. I wouldn't. He starts to circle me slowly, deliberately, like a predator assessing prey, but it doesn't feel like a threat. It feels like something else entirely, like he's memorizing me, learning me. I turn with him, refusing to give him my back, and our eyes stay locked. Tell me about your family, he says. Why? Because omegas like you don't just happen. That kind of power has a source. I don't have a family. The words taste like ash. I was raised in a sanctuary. No parents, no history. Just a number on a register and a lifetime of being told what I couldn't do. Something flickers in his eyes. Not pity, something sharper. Understanding, maybe. The Eastern Sanctuary? Inod. That explains why there's no record of you. He stops circling, standing close enough now that I can see the flecks of silver in his eyes. The sanctuaries don't keep detailed lineage records for their omegas. Too much paperwork. Too much liability. Liability for what? Instead of answering, he reaches out. I tense, but he doesn't touch me, just gestures to my shackled wrists. May I? I want to refuse on principle. But I also want these damn things off, and more than that, I want to know what he's thinking. So I extend my arms. His fingers are warm when they brush my skin, and the contact sends electricity racing up my nerves. He goes still for a fraction of a second, felt it too, then before focusing on the shackles. He examines them closely, running his thumb over the runes. They're not working, he says quietly. My heart stops. What? The suppression magic. It's not affecting you. He looks up, pinning me with his gaze. You've been hiding it, pretending to be contained. There's no point in lying now. Would you believe me if I said I didn't realize they weren't working? No. Then yes, I was hiding it. I lift my chin. I'm not stupid enough to show all my cards to a king who could have me executed. Instead of anger, approval flashes across his face. Smart. He does something to the shackles, I don't see what, and they click open, falling away from my wrists. The relief is immediate. I rub at the red marks they left behind, and his eyes track the movement with an intensity that makes my skin heat. The runes should have worked, he says, still too close. They've worked on every omega in existence. The fact that they didn't work on you confirms what I suspected, which is, he's quiet for a long moment, weighing his words. When he speaks, his voice is different, lower, almost reverent. There are stories, old ones, from before the sanctuaries, before the laws that separate our kind into rigid hierarchies, stories of omegas who weren't weak, who were warriors, leaders, powerful in their own right. He pauses. They were called sovereign omegas, born from ancient bloodlines that carried strength instead of fragility. The words settle over me like a physical weight. That's impossible. If they existed, we'd know about them. Would we? His smile is bitter. History is written by those in power, and powerful omegas were a threat to the Alpha dynasties building their kingdoms, so the bloodlines were eliminated, bred out, erased from record. Except they weren't. Except, he agrees, one survived. Hidden in a sanctuary, raised as weak, never knowing what she was. His gaze bores into mine, until something triggered it. Fear, that's what triggered it. Desperation. The primal need to survive overriding everything I'd been taught. everything I believed about myself. So what does that make me? I whisper. A weapon? A threat? Both. He doesn't sugarcoat it. Every alpha in this kingdom will want you dead or controlled once they know what you are. You represent everything they've built their power on being a lie. And you? My voice is steady despite the fear coiling in my gut. What do you want? The air between us charges with something dangerous. He invades my space further, not touching. Still not touching, but close enough that I can feel the heat of him, smell the forest and smoke scent that makes my wolf whine with need. I want, he says slowly, to understand you. To know if you're a threat to my kingdom or an asset I can't afford to lose. An asset. I laugh, sharp and humorless. Is that what you call prisoners in pretty rooms? I call it protection. There are wolves in this castle who would kill you in your sleep if they knew what you were. Keeping you close keeps you alive. How generous it could be. His voice drops lower, intimate. I could offer you protection, resources, a place in my court. All I need in return is your obedience, your word that you won't use your power against me or mine. For a moment, just a moment, I'm tempted. The offer is seductive in its simplicity, safety in exchange for submission. It's what every Omega is raised to want, to need. But I'm not every Omega. I throw my head back and laugh, the sound echoing off the high ceilings. His expression shifts surprise, confusion, and something that might be annoyance. Did I say something amusing? Obedience. I'm still laughing, but there's an edge to it now. You want me to kneel, to submit, to be a good little Omega who does what she's told. That's your offer? It's a generous one. It's a cage. I step forward, closing the distance between us until we're almost touching. Almost. You want to know what I want? Training. Real training. Not the pathetic self-defense they teach in sanctuaries. I want to understand what I am, what I can do. I want rights for myself and every other Omega who's been told they're nothing. His eyes narrow. You're asking for the impossible. I'm asking for change. My voice is strong, certain. You say I'm dangerous? Then teach me to control it. You say I'm valuable? Then value me as more than property. Give me a seat at your table, a voice in your court. Let me prove that Omegas can be more than what you've made us. And if I refuse, I smile, and I let him see the steel beneath. Then you'll have a sovereign Omega with no loyalty to you and every reason to destroy the system that tried to cage her. Your choice. The silence that follows is electric. He's staring at me like he's never seen anything like me before, and maybe he hasn't. Most Omegas would have taken his offer, grateful for the scraps of safety. Most Omegas wouldn't dare make demands of an Alpha King. But I'm not most Omegas. Something shifts in his expression. The control cracks, and underneath I see hunger. Real, raw hunger. Not for submission, for challenge. For someone who won't break under his will. For me. You have nerve, he says, and there's heat in his voice now. Standing in my castle, making demands, acting like you have any power here. Don't I? I tilt my head. You brought me here alive. You want to understand me. And whether you admit it or not, you feel this too. I gesture between us, at the invisible thread pulling us together. Whatever this is, it gives me power. Even if it's just the power to make you uncertain. He moves suddenly, stepping forward until there's barely an inch between us. I should retreat, should show some sense of self-preservation. But I hold my ground, even as my heart races, even as my wolf practically howls with need. You're playing a dangerous game, he growls. Then teach me the rules. For one breathless moment, I think he might kiss me. Might close that final distance and claim my mouth with his. His eyes drop to my lips, and heat floods my body in response. But he doesn't. Instead, he steps back, putting space between us that feels like a chasm. When he speaks, his voice is controlled again, the mask back in place. Fine. You want training? You'll have it. You want a voice? Earn it by proving you can control what you are. You want change? His smile is sharp. Show me you can survive long enough to make it happen. Is that a yes? It's a bargain. He moves toward the door, then pauses, looking back. Training starts tomorrow. Dawn, don't be late. And the obedience you wanted? His smile turns predatory. I'll settle for your presence. For now. Then he's gone, and I'm left standing in the middle of the room with my pulse racing and my wolf singing and the certainty that I've just stepped into something far more complicated than a simple cage. Because Kyle doesn't want to control me. He wants to possess me. And God's help me. Part of me wants to let him. I don't sleep. How could I? Every time I close my eyes, I see him, those storm-gray eyes. The way he looked at me like I was something he wanted to devour. The phantom heat of his body when he stood so close I could count his heartbeats. The thread between us pulls even now, humming with awareness, telling me exactly where he is in this massive castle. 3 floors up, northwest wing, still awake. I press my palms against my eyes and curse myself for caring. Dawn comes too quickly, and not quickly enough. A servant appears at my door, a young beta woman who won't quite meet my eyes with clothes. Training leathers, she says, for the yard. They fit perfectly. Of course they do. He probably had them made the moment he decided to keep me. The training yard is in the eastern section of the castle, an enormous space surrounded by high walls and overlooked by balconies where spectators can watch. Because of course they can. Nothing in this place is private. I'm early, but he's earlier. Kale is in the center of the yard, moving through forms with lethal precision. No shirt, just training pants and boots, his body a map of scars and muscle. Sweat gleams on his skin despite the morning cold, and I stop in the archway, transfixed by the raw power in every movement. He's not just strong, he's poetry written in violence. He senses me, of course he does, and stops mid-form, turning to face me. His chest rises and falls with controlled breathing, and when our eyes meet across the distance, that thread pulls so tight it steals my breath. You're early, he says. You said don't be late. Most people interpret that as arriving exactly on time, not before sunrise. I'm not most people. His mouth curves not quite a smile, but close. No, you're not. He gestures me forward, and I move into the yard, hyper-aware of his eyes tracking every step. The space feels different with just the 2 of us in it, intimate despite its size. Show me what you can do, he says. Just like that? Would you prefer I throw another warrior at you? The memory of yesterday's fight flashes through my mind. The blood in the snow, the shock on their faces. I'd prefer not to put anyone else in the infirmary. Concerned for my warrior's well-being? There's amusement in his voice. How generous. Concerned about being executed for injuring too many of them. Fair. He moves closer, circling me again with that predatory grace. But you won't learn control by avoiding conflict. You need to understand your strength, your speed, your instincts, and for that you need a partner who won't break. Understanding dawns. You're going to fight me. Train with you, he corrects. There's a difference. Is there? His smile is sharp. We'll see. What follows is the most intense hour of my life. He doesn't go easy on me, doesn't treat me like fragile omega glass. He pushes, tests, forces me to react on instinct rather than thought, and every time I think I've found my limit, he pushes harder. I'm faster than I should be. Fast enough to dodge his initial strikes, to duck under his guard, but he's faster. When his hand connects with my shoulder, spinning me around, I barely keep my footing. Again, he commands. We go again. And again. He's teaching me even as we fight, adjusting my stance with a tap of his foot, correcting my guard with a controlled strike. It's brutal and exhausting and exhilarating, and we're not alone anymore. I don't notice them at first, too focused on not getting my ass handed to me, but gradually I become aware of the audience gathering on the balconies above. Warriors, servants, nobles, all watching the impossible Omega spar with their king. The whispers start like a distant tide, growing louder. Kale notices too. His jaw tightens, but he doesn't stop. If anything, he intensifies the training, as if proving a point. Focus, he growls when my attention wavers. They don't matter, but they do matter. I can feel their judgment, their shock, their anger. Some of the warriors look like they want to vault the railings and tear me apart. When we finally stop, I'm breathing hard, muscles trembling. Kale looks barely winded. "Better," he says, and it feels like praise. "You're strong, but you rely too much on raw power. You need technique. Hard to develop technique when you've spent your life being told not to fight." "Then we'll start from the beginning." He grabs a towel from the bench, tossing it to me. "Tomorrow, same time." I catch it, wiping sweat from my face. "That's it? For now." His eyes sweep the balconies, and something cold enters his expression. Dismissed. The crowd begins to disperse, but slowly, reluctantly. They want to see more. Want to see me fail, probably. I'm turning to leave when a voice calls out from across the yard. I challenge the Omega. Everyone freezes. A warrior drops from the lower balcony, someone I recognize from yesterday's escort. Not the leader, but the young one who limped. The one who looked at me with hatred. He's not limping now. Kale's voice cuts like a blade. "Stand down, Marcus. She injured me." Marcus moves forward, anger radiating from every line of his body. "I have the right to answer that insult. You have the right to obey your king. The law says—" "I don't care what the law says." Kale's voice drops to something dangerous. "I'm telling you to stand down." But Marcus is beyond reason, beyond caution. His pride is wounded, and he wants blood. He looks at me, and his lip curls. Or is the mighty sovereign Omega afraid to face someone who's ready for her? The challenge hangs in the air, and I feel every eye turn to me. This is a test not just of my strength, but of my willingness to back down, to show submission. I step forward. I accept. Kale's head snaps toward me. "No," he challenged me. "I have the right to answer. You have the right to walk away. So do you." I meet his eyes, letting him see my determination. But neither of us is going to. For a moment, I think he'll forbid it outright. Drag me from the yard and end this before it begins. But something in my expression stops him. Maybe he sees that I need this need to prove I can hold my own. That I'm not some fragile thing that requires constant protection. He steps back, but his jaw is tight with displeasure. "Make it quick." Marcus and I face each other across the yard. The crowd has returned to the balconies, larger now, drawn by the promise of violence. The whispers are louder, excited. He attacks first fast, brutal, no warm-up. His fist comes at my face, and I slip it by inches, feeling the air pressure of the near miss. He's good, trained, angry, but I'm angrier. What follows isn't pretty. It's not the controlled sparring I did with Kale. This is real, raw, both of us fighting with intent to hurt. He lands a hit to my ribs that steals my breath. I return it with a strike to his jaw that snaps his head back. We're both bleeding when I finally get inside his guard. One moment he's advancing, the next I've swept his legs and he's on his back with my knee on his chest and my hand at his throat. I could crush his windpipe. The power to do it sings through my muscles, and for one dark moment, I want to. But I don't. I stand, stepping back, leaving him gasping on the ground. Yield. He stares up at me with shock and hatred, and underneath it all fear. Yield. I repeat, louder. I yield. He chokes out. The crowd erupts, some in anger, some in disbelief. I hear someone shout that it's not possible, that an Omega can't. Enough. Kale's voice doesn't rise, but it carries, silencing everyone instantly. He moves between me and Marcus, between me and the crowd, his body a wall of muscle and authority. And he's furious. Not at me, I realize that when he looks at Marcus with something close to disgust. He's angry that this happened at all, that his warrior forced this confrontation. "Get out," he tells Marcus, "and count yourself lucky she was merciful." Marcus scrambles to his feet and retreats, humiliation burning in his eyes. The crowd begins to disperse again, this time quickly, sensing their king's displeasure. When we're alone, mostly alone, there are still guards at the perimeter. KL turns to me. "Let me see." He reaches for my side where Marcus landed his hit. I step back. "I'm fine." "You're bleeding." "Barely." His eyes flash. I don't care if it's barely. Let me see. There's something in his voice command mixed with concern that makes me relent. I lift the edge of my training leather, revealing the bruise already forming, the skin split and seeping blood. He curses under his breath, and before I can protest, his hand is on my skin, fingers gentle despite his obvious anger. The touch sends electricity through me, and I have to fight not to lean into it. This is exactly why I didn't want you to fight him, he mutters. I won. You could have been hurt worse, but I wasn't. I catch his wrist, stopping his examination. And I needed to do this. Needed to show them I'm not weak. I know you're not weak. His voice is rough. But watching you fight, watching others look at you like that. He cuts himself off, jaw clenched, and I see it then. The possessiveness he's trying to hide, the jealousy. He doesn't like others watching me. Doesn't like them challenging me, touching me, even with violence. Cale, I say softly, and his name on my lips makes him go still. I can take care of myself. I know. He releases me, stepping back, putting distance between us like it physically pains him. But that doesn't mean I have to like it. The admission hangs between us, raw and honest. Then he's moving away, grabbing his shirt from the bench. Clean that wound. Food will be sent to your rooms. I can eat in the hall. Your rooms, he repeats, and there's finality in his tone. Until tempers cool, he's protecting me again, keeping me away from the warriors who want me dead, from the whispers and stares. And part of me hates it, hates being hidden, controlled, but part of me understands. I nod and leave the yard, feeling his eyes on me the entire way. That night, I can't sleep again. My ribs ache despite the healing salve, and my mind won't quiet. I keep replaying the fight, the look on Marcus's face, the way Cale stepped between me and the crowd like he couldn't help himself. I'm pacing my rooms when I hear the knock. Soft, almost hesitant. I open the door to find Kyle standing there, still dressed, looking as sleepless as I feel. Can't sleep either? I ask. No. He runs a hand through his hair, making it even messier. May I come in? I should say no, should maintain some distance, some boundary. But I step aside, and he enters, bringing that pine and smoke scent with him. We end up on the balcony, looking out over the dark city. The silence between us isn't uncomfortable. It's weighted with things we're not saying. You were right, he says finally, about needing to prove yourself. I understand that. But watching it was harder than I expected. He looks at me, and there's vulnerability in his eyes I haven't seen before. I've spent my life controlling everything, my kingdom, my warriors, my own instincts. And then you show up and I can't, he shakes his head. I can't control how I react to you. My breath catches. How do you react to me? Like you're mine to protect. Mine too. He trails off, but the word hangs unspoken between us. Claim. I'm not yours, I whisper. I know. His smile is sad. But tell that to my wolf. We stand there in the moonlight, and slowly, carefully, he shows me his scars, points to the one on his ribs from a battle 3 years ago, the one on his shoulder from a challenger when he first took the throne. Each one a story, a moment when he almost died, and I show him mine. Fewer, smaller, but no less significant. The mark on my wrist from shackles that burned, the scar on my palm from broken glass when I tried to escape the sanctuary. Each one a moment I chose survival over submission. We're both fighters, he says quietly. Yeah, I turn to face him fully. We are. I'm lonely, he admits, so softly I almost don't hear it. Have been for years. It's isolating, being king, being alpha, never showing weakness, never letting anyone close. Is that what I am? My voice is equally quiet. Someone close? You're something. He reaches out, not quite touching, his hand hovering near my face. I haven't figured out what yet. Neither have I. But standing here with him, sharing silence and scars and honesty, I know one thing for certain. This, whatever this is between us, is going to change everything. and I'm not sure either of us will survive it intact. It happens 3 nights later. I'm walking back from the library because, yes, this prison has an extensive library, and I've been devouring everything I can find about sovereign omegas, ancient bloodlines, anything that might explain what I am. The corridors are quiet, most of the castle asleep. Just me and the distant sound of guards changing shifts. I don't hear them until it's almost too late. The blade whistles past my ear, embedding itself in the wooden doorframe with a solid thunk. I drop and roll on instinct, that new power flooding my system as 3 figures emerge from the shadows. Not guards, not warriors in the king's colors. Assassins. They're fast, coordinated, moving with the kind of precision that speaks of expensive training. The first one comes at me with a short sword, and I barely deflect it with my forearm, feeling the blade slice through my sleeve and kiss my skin. Pain blooms hot and sharp, but I use the momentum to spin inside his guard, driving my elbow into his throat. He goes down choking. The second attacker is already there, and this one's smarter. She feints left, goes right, and her dagger finds my shoulder before I can dodge. I gasp as the blade punches through muscle, but I grab her wrist before she can twist it, yanking her off balance and slamming her head into the wall. The third one hangs back, watching, learning. He's the dangerous one. Nothing personal, he says, his voice muffled by a dark mask. But you're worth more dead than alive to certain parties. How flattering. I'm breathing hard, blood running down my arm. The knife is still in my shoulder, and removing it will make me bleed faster. Who sent you? Does it matter? He moves faster than the others, faster than I'm ready for. His blade finds my ribs, shallow but burning, and I feel my strength starting to waver. Too much blood loss, too much adrenaline burning out. I'm going to die in this hallway, and no one will know until morning. Then I feel it. That thread in my chest doesn't just pull, it screams. And I know, with absolute certainty, that Kale feels it too. Feels my pain, my fear, my desperation. He's coming. The assassin raises his blade for the killing blow, and I'm too slow to stop it, but it never falls. Because Kale explodes into the corridor like a force of nature. I've seen him fight before, controlled, precise, teaching me forms in the training yard. This is nothing like that. This is raw, primal violence. He moves like his wolf is barely contained beneath his skin, and when his hand closes around the assassin's throat, I hear bones crack. The man drops, gasping, and Kale is already moving to the others. The woman is trying to stand, still dazed from hitting the wall. He catches her by the collar and slams her back down with such force the stone floor cracks. The first assassin, the one I hit, attempts to run. He doesn't make it 5 steps before Kale's hand is in his hair, yanking him back and driving him face first into the wall. The man crumples. And then there's silence. Kale stands in the center of the carnage, chest heaving, hands covered in blood. His eyes are wild when they find me, more wolf than man, and for a moment I think he might not recognize me. Then he's there, dropping to his knees beside me, those bloody hands hovering over my body like he's afraid to touch me. How bad? His voice is rough, barely controlled. I'll live. I try to sound stronger than I feel. The shoulder's the worst of it. He curses viciously, and then his hands are on me gentle, despite the violence still coiled in his muscles. He examines the knife in my shoulder, the cuts on my arm and ribs, and with each wound he finds, something in his expression grows darker. Who sent them? I ask. I'll find out. It sounds like a promise, a threat. And then I'll make them wish they'd never been born. The casual certainty of violence in his voice should frighten me. Instead, it makes me feel safe. He wraps his hand around the knife hilt. This is going to hurt. I know. He pulls it free in one smooth motion, and I bite back a scream. Blood flows faster now, and he's already pressing his hand against the wound, applying pressure. His other hand cups my face, forcing me to look at him. Stay with me, he commands. I'm not going anywhere. Good. His thumb brushes my cheek, smearing blood there. Because I just killed 3 people for you, and I'd hate for that to be wasted effort. The attempt at levity falls flat. His hand is shaking against my shoulder, and I realize he's terrified. This man who faces down armies and rebellions without flinching is shaking because I'm bleeding. Cale, I whisper. I'm okay. You were almost not okay. His voice cracks slightly. I felt you felt your fear through the bond, and I've never moved so fast in my life. If I'd been 5 seconds later, but you weren't. I should have been here. The words come out harsh, self-recriminating. Should have had guards on you, should have anticipated, should have kept me locked in my rooms. I finish. Chained to the bed? That's not living, Cale. It's better than dying. Is it? Our eyes lock, and in his, I see something that makes my breath catch. Not just fear, not just protectiveness. Something deeper, more fundamental. Something that's been building since the moment we met. Footsteps thunder down the corridor, guards finally responding. Weapons drawn. Cale doesn't look away from me, doesn't move, even as they surround us. Get the healer, he snaps. Now. Someone runs. The others start to haul away the unconscious assassins, and I notice that Kyle's hand is still on my face, his other hand still pressed to my bleeding shoulder. You need to let me go, I say softly, so they can help. I know. But he doesn't move. I know. The healer arrives, an older woman with capable hands and sharp eyes. She takes one look at the situation and shoos Cale back with surprising authority. He goes, but only a few steps, watching with predatory focus as she works on my wounds. The shoulder needs stitches, so do the ribs. She works quickly, efficiently, and I grit my teeth through it, refusing to show weakness in front of the gathered guards. When she's done, she gives me something for the pain, some bitter tincture that makes my head swim and orders me to rest. Then she turns to Cale. She'll heal, but she needs sleep. And you, she eyes his bloody hands, the violence still simmering in his expression. You need to calm down before you do something you'll regret. I already did something I'll regret, he says quietly. I let her walk these halls unguarded. She's not a prisoner. She is now. The words are final, absolute. The healer opens her mouth to argue, then thinks better of it and retreats. The guards follow, leaving us alone in the blood-stained corridor. I should argue, should fight against this new cage he's building around me. But the pain medication is making everything soft and distant, and I'm so tired. Can you walk? He asks. I think so. He doesn't believe me. Before I can protest, he's scooping me up, careful of my injuries, cradling me against his chest like I'm made of glass. I should demand he put me down, should insist on my independence. Instead, I let my head rest against his shoulder and breathe in his scent. He carries me to my rooms. No, not my rooms. His rooms. I realize it when we pass through doors I've never seen, into a space that's unmistakably his. Larger, darker, filled with the scent of him. He lays me on his bed, massive, covered in furs, and steps back like I might burn him. You'll stay here, he says, where I can protect you. Cale. No. His voice is hard. No arguments. No negotiations. Someone tried to kill you tonight, and I won't. I can't. He breaks off, running his hands through his hair, leaving bloody streaks. He's still shaking, still barely contained. I push myself up on one elbow, ignoring the pull of stitches. Come here. I should go. Should let you rest. Cale. I put command in my voice. Come here. He moves like he can't help himself, drawn by that invisible thread. He stops at the edge of the bed, close enough to touch but not touching, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. I almost lost you, he says roughly. Before I even what? He closes his eyes, jaw working. When he opens them again, there's something raw there, something he can't hide anymore. Before I even told you the truth, my heart stutters. What truth? You know. His voice drops to almost a whisper. You've known since the throne room, since the moment our eyes met and that bond snapped into place like a chain between us. The bond, that thread I've been feeling, that pull I can't resist. It has a name. Mate, I whisper. Yes. The word sounds torn from him. You're my mate. My gods. Damned, impossible, infuriating mate. And I've been fighting it since the second I gave the order to bring you here alive. The confession hangs between us, huge and terrifying and impossibly real. Everything clicks into place, the possessiveness, the jealousy, the way he can't seem to stop touching me, protecting me. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want to trap you. His laugh is bitter. I've spent my life watching omegas be forced into bonds they didn't choose, forced to submit to alphas because biology demanded it. I didn't want that for you. Didn't want you to feel obligated to what? Accept you? I sit up fully now, despite the pain. You think I'd submit to a bond just because destiny says I should? I don't know. He finally looks at me. Would you? No. The answer comes immediately. Certainly. I wouldn't. But that doesn't mean... I stop, because I don't know what I mean. Don't know what I want. Yes, I feel the bond. Yes, every cell in my body responds to him. But is that real, or just biology? He must read something in my expression because he steps back. That's what I thought. Kyle, wait. But he's already moving toward the door. Rest. I'll have guards posted outside. No one gets in without my permission. Where are you going? He pauses, hand on the doorframe. To find out who sent those assassins, and then to make them pay. In that order? No. His smile is cold. I'll make them pay first. Information comes easier when people are bleeding. He should sound like a monster. Instead, he sounds like exactly what I need, someone who'll burn the world down to keep me safe. Kale. I call as he's leaving. He stops, doesn't turn around. Thank you. For coming when you did. Always. The word is fierce. Final. I'll always come for you. Whether you want me to or not. Then he's gone, and I'm alone in his bed, surrounded by his scent, with the truth sitting heavy in my chest. He's my mate. The Alpha King, the one I've been running from my whole life, is my mate. And I have absolutely no idea what to do about it. I wake to the sound of bells. Not the gentle chiming that marks the hours, these are deep, resonant peals that shake the castle walls. Warning bells, the kind that haven't rung in decades. The kingdom is under attack. I'm on my feet before I'm fully conscious, ignoring the pull of stitches in my shoulder. The pain medication has worn off, leaving everything sharp and clear. My training leathers are folded on a chair, someone brought them while I slept, and I'm dressed in seconds. The guards outside Kale's door try to stop me. The king ordered. I don't care what he ordered. I push past them, and they're too surprised to react quickly enough. Where is he? The eastern wall. But you can't. I'm already running. The castle is chaos. Warriors rushing to positions, servants fleeing to interior rooms, the acrid smell of smoke drifting through windows. I follow the current of soldiers, letting them lead me to the battle. The eastern wall overlooks the main approach to the city, and when I burst onto the ramparts, what I see steals my breath. An army, a real, coordinated army, not just raiders or rebels. Hundreds of wolves in formation, siege equipment being hauled into position, banners flying that I don't recognize. This isn't some spontaneous attack. This is an invasion. And in the center of our defensive line, directing his forces with lethal calm, is KL. He's in full armor now, black plate that makes him look even larger, even more dangerous. His sword is drawn, catching the morning light, and when he turns his head, I see his eyes. They're glowing slightly, his wolf so close to the surface that the humanity is barely holding on. Then he sees me. For a moment, everything else falls away. The battle, the army, the certain death waiting below. It's just him and me and that bond thrumming between us like a living thing. He's across the rampart in seconds, grabbing my arm, careful of my injury, always careful with fury and relief warring in his expression. What are you doing here? Same as you. Fighting. Like hell you are. You're injured, you. I'm a sovereign Omega. The words come out strong, certain. And if there was ever a time to use that, it's now. No. His grip tightens. I won't risk you. You don't get to make that choice. I meet his eyes, letting him see my determination. I'm not some fragile thing you can lock away. I'm your equal, remember? Or was that just talk? He flinches like I've struck him. Around us, warriors are pretending not to listen, but I can feel their attention. This moment matters. How he responds will define everything that comes after. You're my mate, he says quietly. If something happens to you, then something happens to both of us. I place my hand over his on my arm, because that bond goes two ways, Kale. I feel you just like you feel me, and I'd rather die fighting beside you than live knowing I hid while you bled. The truth of it settles between us. He could order me locked away, could have his warriors drag me to safety, but we both know I'd fight them. And more than that, he knows I'm right. We're stronger together. His hand comes up to cut my face, thumb brushing my cheek with devastating gentleness. If you die, I'll burn the world down. Then let's make sure I don't. He holds my gaze for one more heartbeat, then nods, turns to his second-in-command, a grizzled veteran named Garrett, and says, "She fights with me. Anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me after the battle." Garrett's expression doesn't change, but I see respect flicker in his eyes. Yes, my king. The attack comes an hour later. They're not subtle about it, a full frontal assault designed to overwhelm through sheer numbers. The enemy crashes against our walls like a wave, ladders going up, battering rams pounding the gates. The air fills with the sounds of battle, steel on steel, screams of the wounded, the thunderous percussion of war. And I'm in the middle of it. Kyle was right, I don't have technique, but what I lack in training, I make up for in raw power. When the first enemy warrior crests the wall, I meet him with a strength that sends him flying back into his companions. They go down in a tangle of limbs and armor. More come. They always do. I lose myself in the rhythm of battle. Block, strike, move. Trust my instincts, that primal power that knows how to survive. An enemy blade comes at my face. I catch the warrior's wrist, twist, and use his momentum to throw him over the rampart. Behind me, I feel Kale. Don't see him, but I know exactly where he is. Can track his movements through the bond like he's an extension of my own body. He's watching my back, and I'm watching his, and together we're a force that the enemy can't break. A massive alpha breaks through the line, heading straight for me. He's twice my size, covered in scars, wielding a war axe that looks like it could split an oak tree. His eyes lock onto mine, and he grins. So, you're the Omega everyone's talking about, and you're about to be the Alpha everyone forgets. He swings. I dodge, but barely the axe bites into the stone where I was standing, sending up sparks. He's strong, experienced, and he's not underestimating me. Good. We trade blows, and I realize he's testing me, looking for weaknesses. I give him one, a slight hesitation in my left guard. He takes it, axe coming in fast, and I let him think he's won. Then I step inside his swing, too close for the axe to be effective, and drive my palm into his solar plexus with every ounce of strength I have. The impact lifts him off his feet and sends him crashing through the wooden railing. He doesn't get up. Around me, the fighting has slowed. Warriors, both ours and theirs, are staring. At me. At what I just did. The enemy begins to falter. First one warrior backs away, then another. The word spreads through their ranks like wildfire. Sovereign Omega. Their fighting myths made real, and suddenly the invasion doesn't seem like such a good idea. Their retreat starts slowly, then becomes a rout. They're running, abandoning their siege equipment, their wounded, everything, just trying to get away from the castle, from us, from me. When the last enemy disappears into the tree line, silence falls like a curtain. The battle is over. We've won. I'm breathing hard, covered in blood and dirt, my shoulders screaming in protest. But I'm alive. We're alive. Kale is there suddenly, his hands on me, checking for injuries with frantic precision. Are you hurt? Where? I'm fine. I catch his hands, still them. Kale, I'm fine. He pulls me against him, armor and all, and just holds me. I feel his heart pounding against my cheek, feel the tremor running through his massive frame. He was terrified, is still terrified. Never again, he mutters into my hair. Never again do you do something that reckless. That reckless? You dove off the wall at one point. That was strategy. That was suicide. Same thing in war. Despite everything, I laugh. It comes out slightly hysterical, but it's real. We're both alive, both whole, and the bond between us is singing with relief and adrenaline and something deeper. Then I become aware of the silence. Everyone on the ramparts is watching us. Warriors, commanders, even the wounded who can still stand. They're staring at their king holding an omega, like she's the most precious thing in the world. Kale must sense it too because he slowly releases me, stepping back. But he keeps one hand on my waist, anchoring me to his side. And then he does something I don't expect. He addresses them. "I know what you're thinking." His voice carries across the rampart, strong and clear. "You're wondering what she is, what she's doing here, why I let an omega fight." Silence. Heavy. Waiting. "She's here because she earned it, because she's stronger than half the warriors in my guard, because when assassins came for her, she fought them. When an army threatened our gates, she stood with us." He pauses, and his hand tightens on my waist. "And because she is my mate." The words drop like stones into water, ripples spreading outward. I hear the gasps, the whispers starting. "She is my equal," Kale continues, his voice hardening. "My mate. And if the gods are merciful, my queen, anyone who has a problem with that can challenge me now. I'll be happy to address your concerns personally." No one moves. No one speaks. Then Garrett, grizzled, scarred, traditional Garrett, drops to one knee. "My queen," he says simply. One by one the others follow. Kneeling on the blood-stained ramparts, heads bowed, showing respect not because they have to, but because I've earned it, because I fought beside them, bled with them, proved that Omega doesn't mean weak. I'm shaking. Not from fear or pain, but from the weight of this moment. Everything I've ever wanted, respect, recognition, freedom being offered freely. "Rise," I say, and my voice only trembles slightly. "All of you." I can't be your queen if you're kneeling." Slowly they stand. And in their eyes, I see something that's been missing my whole life. Acceptance. Kale turns to me, and there's a question in his eyes. Uncertainty, for the first time since I've known him. "I know this isn't how you wanted it," he says quietly, meant only for me. "I know you wanted choice, not destiny forcing your hand. If you want to walk away." "Kale." I place my hand on his chest, over his heart, feel it beating strong and sure. "I'm not walking away, but the bond is just biology, instinct." I meet his eyes. "What I feel for you, that's choice. And I choose this. Choose you. Not because destiny says I should, but because you've proven you're worth choosing." Something breaks in his expression. Relief and joy and disbelief all tangled together. "You're sure? I fought an army beside you. I think that makes it pretty clear where I stand." He laughs, actually laughs, and the sound is so unexpected, so genuine, that it makes my chest ache. Then he's kissing me, right there on the ramparts in front of his entire guard, and I'm kissing him back with everything I have. When we finally break apart, his forehead rests against mine. "My queen," he murmurs. "You're equal," I correct. "Same thing." And looking into his eyes, seeing the truth there, I realize he's right. For the first time in my life, I'm not property or prey or something to be protected. I'm powerful. I'm chosen. I'm home. The cheering starts then, warriors banging weapons against shields, voices raised in celebration. We've won the battle and gained a queen in the same day. But as I stand there with Kale's arm around me and his people accepting me as one of their own, I know the real victory was something else entirely. I chose my own fate, and I chose him, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. And that makes all the difference. The victory celebration lasts well into the night, but Kale and I slip away before it reaches its peak. The wound in my shoulder has reopened. I can feel the warm trickle of blood beneath my armor, and despite my best efforts to hide it, he notices. He always notices. "You're bleeding again," he says quietly, guiding me away from the great hall where his warriors are drinking themselves into oblivion. "It's nothing. It's never nothing with you." But there's no heat in the words, just concern wrapped in exasperation. We end up back in his chambers. Our chambers now, I suppose, though the thought still feels surreal. The room is warm, fire crackling in the hearth, so different from the blood and chaos of the battlefield. He helps me out of my armor with careful hands, and I try not to wince when the leather pulls at my stitches. I fail. His jaw tightens. "I should have had the healer look at you immediately. You were busy being king, accepting the surrender, making sure your warriors didn't chase the enemy into an ambush." I catch his hand before he can spiral into guilt. "I'm fine, Kale. Battle wounds heal. Not if you keep tearing them open fighting armies." "Was that your way of saying I shouldn't have fought?" "No." He meets my eyes. It was my way of saying I'm terrified of losing you, and I don't know how to stop being terrified. The raw honesty in his voice makes my chest ache. I cup his face, feeling the rough stubble there, the warmth of his skin. You don't. That's what it means to care about someone. The fear doesn't go away. You just learn to live with it. I don't like it. I don't particularly enjoy watching you throw yourself at enemy warriors either. But I'm managing. His mouth curves, not quite a smile, but close. Fair. He tends to my shoulder himself, refusing to call for the healer. His hands are gentle despite their size, despite the violence they're capable of. He cleans the wound, applies fresh salve, wraps it with new bandages. The intimacy of it, him caring for me, touching me with such tenderness, is almost overwhelming. There, he says finally, securing the last bandage. Try not to wrestle any more alphas for at least a few days. No promises. He laughs, the sound rumbling through his chest, and pulls me carefully against him. We stand there in the firelight, just breathing together, letting the adrenaline of battle finally drain away. I should warn you, he murmurs into my hair. Being queen isn't going to be easy. There will be nobles who oppose you, traditions that need changing, battles that don't involve swords. Good thing I like a challenge. You would. His arms tighten around me. Most people would run from this. From me. From the complications of ruling beside an alpha king. I'm not most people. No. He pulls back just enough to look at me, and there's something in his eyes that makes my breath catch. You're extraordinary. Brave and stubborn and impossible. And He stops, jaw working, like the words are physically difficult to say. What? I prompt softly. I love you. The confession comes out rough, almost angry. I've probably loved you since you stood in my throne room covered in blood and refused to look away. And I know it's too soon. I know we barely know each other, but... I kiss him, cut off his spiraling with my mouth on his, pouring everything I can't quite say into the contact. He responds immediately, one hand tangling in my hair, the other careful on my waist, always mindful of my injuries even now. When we finally break apart, we're both breathing hard. I love you too, I whisper against his lips. Even though you're arrogant and overbearing and tried to keep me locked in a room, for your own protection, still counts, I smile. But I love you anyway. Not because of the bond, not because destiny said I should, because you've earned it. His eyes close and I feel him shudder. Like he's been waiting his whole life to hear those words from someone who meant them, who chose him instead of just accepting him. Come to bed, he says roughly. We both need rest. Just rest? His eyes flash with heat, but he shakes his head. You're injured, and we have time. All the time in the world now. He's right. There's no rush, no urgency. We have forever to learn each other, to build this thing between us into something that will last. Still, when we climb into his massive bed, our bed, and he pulls me against him, careful of my shoulder, I feel desire coil low in my stomach. The bond hums with want, with need, and I know he feels it too from the tension in his body. Soon, he promises, pressing a kiss to my temple. When you're healed, when I can touch you properly without worrying about hurting you. I'm not that fragile. I know, but I am. His arms tighten around me. When it comes to you, I'm the fragile one. And I need to know I won't break you. The vulnerability in his voice makes my throat tight. This powerful man, this alpha king who commands armies and rules a kingdom, is afraid of hurting me. Not physically, though I know that fear is there too, but deeper. Afraid of taking more than I want to give. Of using the bond to force instead of invite. You won't break me, I tell him firmly. I'm a sovereign Omega, remember? We don't break. No. His lips curve against my hair. You don't. We fall asleep like that, tangled together, the bond between us settling into something steady and sure. And for the first time in my life, I sleep without fear, without planning my escape or waiting for the cage door to close. Because this isn't a cage. This is freedom. The changes start slowly at first, then gather momentum like an avalanche. Within a week, Kale issues a decree. Omegas are no longer confined to sanctuaries. They can choose where they live, who they bond with if they bond at all. The decision sends shockwaves through the kingdom, but he stands firm, and I stand beside him. We face down nobles who protest, who claim the old ways are safer. I let them see what an Omega can be when given the chance. Let them see the strength they've been suppressing for generations. Some resist, some fight, but slowly, Grudgingly, minds begin to change. The first Omega arrives at the castle 2 weeks after the decree, a young woman who heard about me, who wants to learn, then another, and another. Within a month, I'm teaching combat classes in the training yard, showing Omega wolves that their bodies are capable of more than they've been told. Kale watches sometimes, leaning against the archway with that small smile he reserves just for me. And when some of the younger warriors start to respect their Omega trainees instead of pitying them, I see pride in his eyes. We're not just changing his kingdom, we're changing our world. The coronation happens on the first day of spring. I wear a crown that Kale had specially made silver, worked with images of wolves in various forms, equal to his own. Not dainty, not delicate, strong. When the high priest asks if I will serve the kingdom with honor and strength, I don't hesitate. I will. When he asks if I will rule beside the Alpha King as his equal, I meet Kale's eyes. I will. And when Kale takes my hand and we turn to face his people, our people, the roar of approval shakes the castle walls. Later, in the privacy of our chambers, he finally makes good on that promise of touching me properly. His hands worship every inch of my skin, careful and reverent and hungry all at once. And when he finally claims me body and soul, the bond snapping fully into place, I understand what it means to be truly free. Because this is my choice, my desire, my love. And it's breathtaking. Months later, I'm standing on the eastern ramparts again, looking out over a kingdom that's slowly transforming. Down in the training yard, I can see Omega warriors sparring with Alphas, both groups pushing each other to be better. In the council chambers, 2 Omegas now sit on Kale's advisory board, their voices finally heard after centuries of silence. And throughout the kingdom, in villages and cities, Omegas are stepping out of the shadows, choosing their own paths, living instead of just surviving. I feel Kyle before I hear him, that bond between us always humming with awareness. His arms come around me from behind, chin resting on top of my head. "What are you thinking about?" he asks. "How far we've come, how much further we have to go." His arms tighten. "Having second thoughts about being queen?" "Not even close." I lean back against him. Though I have to say, this wasn't how I imagined my life turning out when I woke up that morning in the snow. "No?" "No. I thought I'd be dead, or imprisoned by now." I turn in his arms, looping mine around his neck. "I never thought I'd be standing here with you, changing the world, being happy." "Happy?" His smile is soft. "Even with the arrogant, overbearing Alpha King? Especially with him." I pull him down for a kiss, brief but sweet. Turns out he's not so bad once you get past all the posturing. "Posturing," he repeats, mock offended. "I don't posture." "You absolutely posture." "Maybe a little." His hands settle on my waist. "But only when you're watching. I like the way you look at me when I'm being impressive. I look at you like I'm trying not to laugh." "Exactly." I do laugh then, and he grins, clearly pleased with himself. This is who we are together, matched in strength, balanced in power, but easy with each other. Friends as much as lovers. Partners in every sense of the word. "I love you," I tell him, because it still feels new enough to need saying. "I love you too." He kisses my forehead. My queen, my mate, my impossible Omega who refused to kneel. And that's the truth of it, really. The story that will be told long after we're gone. I didn't beg for my freedom, didn't beg for mercy or safety or acceptance. I didn't kneel before an Alpha King, or bow to tradition or submit to a world that said I was weak. I rose from the snow and blood of that first fight. Rose through fear and pain and impossible odds. Rose to meet an Alpha King as his equal, and became a queen who changed everything. The kingdom is different now, better. And it will keep getting better with every Omega who finds their strength. Every Alpha who learns to see beyond old prejudices. We have work to do still, years of it probably. Old systems don't change overnight, and there will be resistance, setbacks, battles both literal and political. But standing here with Kale, with his people accepting me, with hope spreading like wildfire through a kingdom that desperately needed it, I know we'll win. Because I'm not just an Omega anymore. I'm a sovereign, a queen, a force of nature wrapped in flesh and determination, and I never ever learned to kneel. They said Omegas were weak. They said we broke easily. They were wrong, and I'm living proof. Thank you for listening to another emotional, magical shifter romance here on Tina Romance Library. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, so you never miss more powerful, heart-gripping romance stories.